Manufacturing Research Computer Aided Design, aka CAD, Period 5 Sim Engineering, by Jose Medina. What is CAD? CAD means Computer Aided Design. CAD is very important because it is the foundation of how we design and construct. It can carry any idea to life. You'll be surprised how many things you use every day that trace back to CAD. How did CAD come to life? What is the historical breakthroughs? How can CAD evolve into the future? To understand this, we're going way back in time in 1861.
To find out, we're going all the way back to the beginning of time. France. French chemist Alphonse-Louis Poitevin discovers a process involving sunlight and a substance found in gum that allows original architectural drawings to be accurately reproduced. The process creates a negative copy, where black lines turn white and blank space turns blue, leaving users with a blue print.
Je l'avais esprit.
Blueprints was huge because ideas can be copied and be distributed around the world. This allows everyone to work on the same design. This makes everyone's job easier. Fast forward a couple years, and the second industrial revolution, aka the technological revolution, occurs and boosts society.
Coincidence that the second great industrial revolution starts just a few years later.
In the early 1940s and late 1950s, mainframe computing was trending, and a couple years later, in 1961, Patrick J. Handwriting, the owner of car motors, created DEC, which stands for Design Automated by Computer. To this day, he is known as the father of CAD. This paved the way of manufacturing and mass production. But then an American computer scientist named Douglas T. Russ changed the term DEC to CAD. Then in 1971, while Intel was showing the microprocessor chip, Patrick J. Handwriting created the automated drafting and machining or ATOM for short. This paved the way of CAD going mainstream even more. In 1981, the IBM PC launches and having CAD comes affordable to everyone. In 1982, John Walker founds Autodesk, and later that year announced AutoCAD. This changed the world of design forever. The AutoCAD 3D, digital prototyping, and the AutoCAD on Windows PC allowed people to let all their innovative ideas to the world. Now, it is on your phones and to the cloud. So this allowed very realistic buildings. It helps you with also fashion design for CAD, and this was really large breakthrough. The future of CAD. In conclusion, CAD is very important in the process of manufacturing and paved the way to our modern society. Plus, as we keep innovating, we can use Autodesk CAD to mix it with 3D software for 3D animated movies. And we can use Autodesk CAD to form it into a gaming engine. By the way, CAD is like a father to these things, so without CAD, 3D software wouldn't come to exist. Here is a gaming engine that uses these principles. If you guys remember my first slide with the planes, right? This is a finished product. Let's start with CAD. experience a movie using a professional 3D software. Okay, so here is an evolved form of CAD, and this is using obviously a professional 3D software.
We wanted Miles' world to feel as though it was printed in ink, and that nothing in it could be soft, including how Miles moved. We tried to avoid the perfection of computer motion. That led us to turning off motion blur and animating on twos. And that decision in turn made it so that we needed to rely on more traditional hand-drawn techniques for smearing motion, such as distorting trailing edges, comic book action lines, multiple limbs, and sometimes simplifying the shape to feel like smeared color in spaces between poses. To help aid with our graphic look, we even built Miles to have more angularity, so that his silhouette would have more straight lines and the planes of his form could more easily break into blocks of color. His eyes were built to be irregular in shape, and the highlights of his eyes were often hand-animated to look as though they were blobs of paint. Animating on twos freed up all kinds of movement possibilities and equally as many challenges. We had to adapt our performances in different ways depending on how the camera moved. In order for simulations to work with our style, we had to animate so clearly that a parallel version of our scene could be created and then automatically splined for the cloth and hair teams. We developed a new publishing process and tools to allow animators in the cloth team to preview and experiment with twos with the flexibility to make every shot a combination of twos and ones.
Here is the history of CAD timeline, if you want to see every specific time. So there's a timeline, right? A lot of new innovations come every single couple of years, and a lot of companies use CAD, and all these computers and cars, these things wouldn't come to exist without CAD. And if we look to the future, right, we can make really cool things, like for example a VR headset, which required a lot of drafts for CAD to make it really cool. Here's my works cited. You decided to pass that on, by the way.
Let me just... Brad or Brad 2? Do we have time for Boulder's Me? Calling upon Brad and Brad 2. Is it time?
It's time.
This is a project that is currently being built. The first CAD sheet, M0.1, will talk about the engineering intent specification that explains the methods how to install mechanical ventilation design. CAD sheet M2.1 is the first floor ventilation plan in the parking garage. As you can see here are all wall-mounted heaters in the garage ready for the cold. CAD sheet M2.2 second floor ventilation plan shows that the heat and cold air is calibrated to maintain human comfort level. CAD sheet M2.4 roof level contains the finished air conditioner equipment that supply the ventilation through all floors evenly. CAD sheet 9.1 is mechanical schedules that talk about the proper ventilation. CFM, meaning that every room will be comfortable to sit. For example, seeing the schedules report, we will know what type, the size, the amount and cost for the mechanical equipment for the client. Hope you guys enjoyed my video.